Okay, so we're going to look at the core exercises. The first one we're going to do is the standard ab curl. During paddling we use our core a lot, usually rotation, but just the balance on the board is activating your core at all times. So we're going to start with the ab curl. I think most of us are familiar with this. So again, our feet are hip width apart. We're going to start off by laying down, and then what I want you to do is just put your hands on your thigh. We're going to engage that core, and what I mean by that is we're going to squeeze our belly button towards our spine, and all we're going to do is just come up as far as your range of movement will allow. So you can see at the moment my fingertips are coming up towards my knee. It doesn't matter if your fingertips only come up as far as there. What we're trying to do is make sure we're using that core and not just throwing ourselves up. So nice and slow, I pull my belly button in, engage my core, and then looking up, nice and relaxed. Imagine like you've got an apple or something under your chin, and just come up nice and slow. Now if you do find it does start to hurt the neck, you can interlock your fingers, put them behind your neck, relax the head in, and just slowly come up. But the main thing we're looking for when we're doing our core exercises, that it is the core, the stomach area that's actually working. We're not just throwing ourselves up. Again, with the core exercises, we can look at between 12 to 15 reps. So the next exercise we're going to do is called a roll back. And what I want you to do is sit up nice and tall. You know we've got those knobbly bits in our bottom. We're going to sit on them. We're going to relax those shoulders, and we're going to look straight ahead. And all we're going to do is slowly come into a C shape and roll back as far as you feel you can hold your core without falling back. So it may be as far as here. We then keep that core engaged, and we make sure we're pulling up nice and upright using those core muscles. So we come down as far as you feel comfortable. It might be a bit further this time. Engage that core and slowly come up. And this is something you can build on. It may only be a little bit to start with, and then you get further each time. But the idea is that what we don't want is to rush it and throw our bodies up. We're really looking again at this core working for us. The next exercise we're going to do is called a Russian twist. It works the oblique muscles, and again with the paddling, definitely when we rotate we're going to bring those oblique muscles in. So what we're going to do is just lean back a little bit, and it is just a little bit enough that the core's holding you. Keep the legs together, and what I want you to do is hold your hands out, keep the shoulders relaxed, and all you're going to do is rotate round as far as you can, back to the centre, round to the other side. Now ideally we're trying to keep these legs together, so it is a separation, it is just the oblique muscles that are coming round. If you can, you've got the range of movement, you might be able to come down a bit lower. Also, if you've got any weights at home, you can put a light weight in your hands, but it's just keeping those legs still, making sure we're using those muscles to rotate round. So the next exercise we're going to do is a plank exercise. You'll hear plank being used quite a lot. It's a really good exercise for activating the whole of our core. Our core isn't just the front muscles, it works from the back, the side, all the way across. So we're going to do a plank with rotation. So we're going to use those stabilisation muscles, and we're going to put in a bit of rotation as well. We can do this at 2 levels. We can do it as a full plank or a modified plank. So I'm going to start showing you by a full plank, so making sure our shoulders are over our wrists, and then our shoulders are in line with our hips and ankle, and that we haven't got the bottom right up in the air or arch. We want a nice straight line. And we can, to start with, just hold it there or drop the knees down and hold it there. If you're then ready to put the rotation in, all we're going to do is just rotate round and lift up. If you can, look up the hand, come back into your plank position, and then you're going to rotate the other way and back down. Ideally this is quite a tough exercise, so we probably only start with about anything from 6 to 10 reps depending on your level of fitness. But again, you can do this on your knees. If you want to modify it, you're just going to come up but not quite as far, so you've still got that rotation but not as far as with the full plank. Okay, so another exercise we're going to do is a side plank. Like I said previously, our core muscles all the way around, so we're going to look at working the side part. This time on a side plank, I still want to make sure my shoulder's over my elbow and my hands in line. Now I can do this with my knees bent or legs straight, or you can do one knee bent and one leg out straight. So I'm going to go for that option. And then all I'm going to do is lift up as high as I can. So that's activating the muscles, side muscles. And then I can just do a hip drop down and push up. If I want to make this a little bit harder, I can take my hand up, and then what I can do is what we call thread the needle, rotate, through and up. And when I'm doing that exercise, I want to try and keep the hips up. So the hips aren't dropping, I'm threading through and pushing up. Like I said, you can do it with knee bent, both knees bent, or we can come up to a full side plank. And again, we can do whatever level works for us. Okay, another exercise we're going to do is back extension, which works the lower part of our muscles in our back. Again, these are quite important when we're paddling to make sure we're increasing the strength all the way round. So we lay face down, and I'm going to put my hands out at 90 degrees, so nice and relaxed, and just relax my head down so I'm not putting any stress on my neck. And at this point, I'm going to engage my core and glutes and just lift up as far as my range of movement. Don't go over your range of movement in your back. So it's deep breath in. As I breathe out, I'm just going to come up. Now, if I want to progress it as I come up, I can lift my arms. And if I still feel I can progress it further, I can lift the legs as well. So nice and slow, making sure everything's engaged, your core and your glutes. Okay, the next core exercise we're going to do is we're going to come down onto tabletop position, and I quite often call this one Superman, because what we're going to do is we're going to engage that core. You're going to make sure your weight is balanced, and what we're going to do is lift one hand. So I'm going to lift my right hand and my opposite leg, my left. So, and then come back down, so you can see where we get the Superman from. We're going to lift the left arm and the right leg. But what I'm trying not to do is rotate or tip. So it's nice and slow and controlled, and my back stays nice and flat. So we're back to that wine glass. We don't want to spill any wine, so we're going to keep the back nice and still. So it's quite a slow, controlled movement, and we're activating those core muscles to keep this happening. Now, if I want to progress it a bit further, I can take my right, left leg out, and then I can bring in a crunch. So I bring my elbow towards my knee, reach out, and keep going. And that way I would look at doing sort of 8 to 10 reps each side. If this is too much to start with, just start by raising a leg and come in, and then you could try arm, come in, and then opposite leg. But what you're trying not to do is put all the weight through one side, so you're keeping nice and stable with the back. Okay, so a final exercise I'm going to finish off with is the plank. And this is one that we sort of hold, and you can hold starting off maybe 15 seconds and build it up to a minute. So we covered the plank earlier when we did the rotation, but we'll just go back through it. So you've got a full plank where your arms are straight, or we can come down onto our forearms, and that's one where I usually do for this exercise. So again, I'm making sure my wrist is in line with my elbow, and then my shoulders are over my elbow. I tuck my toes under, I lift up, and I'm looking for that nice flat back. If you imagine, I don't know, a glass of wine or something on your back, you don't want to spill a drop. So you don't want your back arched, and you don't want your bum in the air. And we're just going to hold it there, and I'm just going to look probably just at the front of my mat. You just need a little timer in front of you, and we're going to hold that for, like I said, anything from 15 seconds start with up to a minute. If that gets too much, I can just drop my knees down, or if that is too much on the forearms and you want to progress it a bit more, put your hands down and you can do a full arm plank.